welcome to the Ghost of Harrenhal. My name's Simon.
And I'm McKelly.
Thank you for joining us for episode 29 of our chapter-by-chapter book review of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. Today we're discussing chapter 28 of A Game of Thrones, which is Catelyn 5.
We'll chat about the chapter and try not to spoil any future plot points for you, and hopefully we'll provide you with some entertainment along the way.
We'll summarise what happened, discuss our thoughts on it, provide some useful background, compare it to the TV show. I always stumble over that bit. Compare it to the TV show and indulge in a little pedantry. Be sure to check out the show notes. They provide some additional information about the characters and other things of note in the chapter, particularly if you're not reading along.
Yes, that's a very good resource for you if you're not reading along.
How are you?
I'm all right.
What you got for me?
Another swim meet weekend.
Swim meet? Do tell.
It was good. She had... for the most part, a really good meet.
Oh, good.
But so Saturday, it was only a Saturday Sunday, so we didn't have a Friday night session, which is good. So
I don't know how you do it. Really
this
don't.
Was an evening one
You must
too.
love your child more than I love mine.
Her agenda for this meet is to get a qualifying time for this big meet in Atlanta.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of like the point. This is her last short course meet of the season. So this is her last chance in the short course season to get the qualifying time for this big meet in Atlanta. So we get there, and the very first event is the 200 medley relay. Okay. 200-yard medley relay. So she swims the first leg. The first leg of the relay is the only leg
that can be timed.
That can count.
Yes.
The time can count because you have to do an official start,
yes.
not the dive over start. So
this is, although it's a relay, this counts towards her time.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
So she swims. And she gets the qualifying time by 6/100ths of a second.
Ooh.
6/100ths of a second. But she
close.
got it.
That's
She
awesome.
got the qualifying time. She was super excited. Now, she had to go out and swim the 50 free was the first event, like 10 minutes later.
Okay.
So she had just swam with everything she had 10 minutes previous. So she added, to the time that she got, she added about...
What did she swim then? Backstroke?
No, freestyle. It was 50 free.
No, but in the medley.
Freestyle. It was the freestyle relay.
I thought it was medley relay.
Did I say medley?
I think you said medley relay.
Yeah, I might have.
Thought, yeah.
Sorry, is the
freestyle relay.
Freestyle relay.
Did they let her go first because they knew she needed a time?
I don't know.
That would be really nice if they did.
Yeah, but they were all looking. I mean, they're all trying to qualify.
Oh, I thought the other three might have already qualified or something.
No, I don't think so.
The other three never had a chance. That's what it was.
That's what it was. I can't even remember who the other people on her relay were. Anyway, so she added about 1/10 of a second, which is fine. Still a really good time. Then she proceeds.
That you're saying that, but that's worse, right? Added
is worse.
It's not good. Okay, yeah.
Then she proceeds to just she got the time she was looking for. She did nothing the rest of the day. She added 4 seconds in her 200 free, or 200 back, and like 2 seconds in her 200 free. And I was like, why am I here? Why didn't we just go home after the relay?
We could have recorded the podcast on our usual schedule. But still, though, that's great.
Yes, she recovered.
So now you've got to schlep all the way to Atlanta for a meet.
Well, I guess so. The team will go down as a group together. I guess I'll go with them.
Who's going to wave their arm like you need to go faster?
This is funny. She was swimming the 200 IM yesterday. It's the very last event of the meet. I'll wrap this up real quick. But I am known for my gyrations during her
the other
swimming.
parents laugh at you.
Yes. And I was talking to one of the dads afterward, and he said, I almost recorded you. He said, I told Molly, you should see the gyrations your dad does during your swims. So apparently I'm known for my fancy gyrations.
I think he should record that. I think that would be a good addition to our social media feeds. You're giving it some on the sidelines.
Maybe from everyone's perspective but mine.
Yeah, possibly. All right, let's get down to business.
Let's do it.
Quick recap of what Catelyn was up to previously.
What was she up to?
If memory serves, last we saw of her, she was saying goodbye to Ned in King's Landing, having come down there with, blanking on his name.
Ser Rodrik Cassel.
Ser Rodrik Cassel. Jory's father.
No.
Oh, uncle.
Uncle,
yeah.
Yes.
His uncle, that's right. She'd shared her suspicions that Bran was attacked by Lannisters,
right.
And, courtesy of Peter Baelish's intel, that the knife used by the assassin belonged to Tyrion Lannister.
Oh.
Let's get to the summary.
Let's do it. Catelyn and Ser Rodrik Cassel,
Oh, him.
that guy, are making their way back to Winterfell They've reached the Riverlands, the area of the realm that Cat grew up in, and where her father is the Lord Paramount. Ser Rodrik thinks that they need to sleep rough, as too many people know Cat in this region. But at that point, a local noble, Ser Jason Lannister, rides past and completely fails to recognize her, and Cat is convinced that they can risk a roof and a hot meal.
The pair reach the inn at the Crossroads and get the last 2 rooms available. To hide their identity, they pretend to be father and daughter. At dinner, they strike up a conversation with a singer, Marillion, although I'd say Marillion struck up the conversation with them.
Yeah.
I don't think they were fishing for a chit-chat. he was fishing for a coin. While doing so, in walks Tyrion Lannister himself, heading south back to King's Landing from Winterfell. He's accompanied by Yoren of the Night's Watch and his 2 travel escorts, who, actually, you found their names, Jick and Morek.
Yes.
Interesting.
He's told that there are no rooms left, but when he flashes a gold dragon, a free rider offers up his room, and Cat is thankful for the crowded room as Tyrion hasn't noticed her. However, the singer, Marillion, shouts out an offer to sing to him, which causes Tyrion to look to the far side of the room. There, he notices Cat. He acknowledges her and says he's sorry to have missed her in Winterfell.
Cat sees her opportunity. She stands and, speaking one by one to the groups of men wearing sigils of houses that owe fealty to her father, tells them that Tyrion conspired to murder her son and asks them to seize him and help her return him to Winterfell to await the king's justice.
Oh, boy.
And they do.
Yeah. So that's a big move.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was talking. She was sort of going through the Riverlands. She was talking about how much she wanted to avoid war.
Yeah,
partly because her father's hold over the Riverlands is sort of a little tenuous. That he's frail. He's been bedridden for a while. He's not the man he was. And 18 years ago, in Robert's Rebellion, 3 of the major houses of the Riverlands fought against him, did not do what he said. Now, of course, I think any lord who calls on his liege lords to rebel against the king has to face the fact that they have to betray one or the other.
Yes, you
their
run
loyalty
that risk
to the crown or the loyalty to their
It's
lord.
not like they're saying we're raising the banners to go fight a foreign enemy.
Right.
You're saying we're rebelling against the realm.
Right.
So...
yeah, and I mean, a lot of these people would make the calculation of who they think is going to win, because you definitely want to be on the winning side.
In a little bit, we'll get to one who did just that.
Exactly.
So there's a. Did you have more to say about that?
No.
Okay, I was just going to say there's so much to talk about that, but let's start back at the beginning of the chapter with less interesting stuff and make our way through it. So they're in the Riverlands, and Cat's feeling at home. She's enjoying the warm rain, unlike the cold, icy rain that she's been finding in the north. And it takes her back to the days of playing with Edmure and Liza and Peter Baelish as kids.
So Edmure is her brother,
her younger
Liza,
brother,
her sister, and Peter, their foster brother.
Sort of, yep, exactly. So this whole thing, I think you know where I'm going.
This maybe should go into pedantry, but go on.
Yes, that's true. I hadn't thought about it as pedantry. It is, I guess. Why? They took a ship down here, and we were complimenting them on, was such a wise decision. Use your time wisely. They have the financial resources. Why are they schlepping their way back up on horseback across the realm?
Especially because it seems kind of dangerous,
Yes.
I mean, they are an old man and a lady of the realm.
As she puts it at one point, her only defense is an elderly knight armed with loyalty.
Right.
So, it just seems like, especially since no one's to know that she was in King's Landing.
But I think that's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought of that.
That's why she's hiding from Jason Lannister, because they're not supposed to know she was...
Why not just go back on the ship?
Yes, why not go back on the ship?
I'd forgotten that she was still... I thought she just wanted to avoid sort of like undue notice, but you're right. She's still trying to keep the secret, the fact that she ever left Winterfell.
Yeah, that's our whole...
Oh.
Maybe Ser Rodrik pleaded, begged, don't make me go back on that ship.
He said something along the lines of, we all know how terrible you are at keeping secrets. Why don't we just ride, and then I will have to puke every step of the way. Okay, so they see Sir Jason. Is it Mallister?
Jason Mallister is how
on the
I
King's
pronounce
Road. He has no fear. He rides on by her, and she says that, she envies that fearlessness because she's come to fear so much.
Right, yeah. And lots happened to her since Robert rode north. Yeah. Bran's injury, Ned and the girls have left town. There's a lot going on, I guess.
So we talked about the Mallisters before. They're the ones whose words are above the rest, which we joked would annoy their neighbours.
Yes.
That's right. Tried to remember why we heard of them back in the prologue. It's because Will, one of the people who died in the prologue, poached one of the head deer.
Yes.
Which is how he got his.
That is right.
How he got his golden ticket to join the Night's Watch.
I could not remember why we talked about them in the prologue.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But much like Ned, she runs into troubles at the Crossroads.
That's right. All those ruby
hunters. Yeah. So Catelyn remembers staying here at the inn with her father when she was a child, and the owner is a lady named Masha Heddle.
I'm going to put Masha Heddle forth as the best name in the book so far. Masha Heddle.
Masha Heddle.
So perfect. So evocative of what she is as well. Especially because of her characteristic, her trait.
Yes, she's a big fan of the sour leaf, and that stains her teeth red, and Catelyn says, you just don't want to make her smile. It's a bloody sight.
So they pretend to be father and daughter, and Ser Rodrik immediately starts calling her my lady and things like that, which is really not what a father would call his daughter.
Not usually.
Probably. So Cat thinks about her options. Because they're at the crossroads.
Yep.
I mean, she's actually got family at the end of all three directions, apart from the one she came. Well, no, all four directions.
All four, really, yeah.
She's got family in all four directions from there. She could go back south to King's Landing.
Yep.
She doesn't actually consider that one.
No, that would not make sense.
Feels like a waste of time.
Yes.
She could go back to King's Landing and then catch a boat home.
I would recommend that.
She could turn left and go west to River Run, where her father lives.
Yes, and that's one she would really like to do.
Yeah.
Because she said, he's always given her wise counsel, and she would like to warn him about, the possibility of war or some kind of conflict breaking out.
Yeah.
And she fears if Winterfell needs to prepare, how much more so does River Run need to prepare?
Because
being not only are they closer to King's Landing, but they've also got the
no natural defenses.
Yeah, well, they've got the rivers, I guess, but they've got Casterly Rock looming not too far from the west. That's really their, they're kind of surrounded by those two. The Lannisters are. If it goes to war, it's going to be with the Lannisters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She could go east to visit her sister Lysa in the Eyrie, but she discounts that one because the path is treacherous.
Yes.
There's mountain tribes who she and Ser Rodrik would not be safe going that way.
Yeah, that's when she says, I'm armed only with an elderly knight, armed with loyalty. That's what it is.
And whilst I'm sure she would like to go and give some comfort to her sister,
sure,
she also feels it's going to be a bit of a downer, isn't it, really? of these options.
Right.
And of course, she's intending to go north. I mean, that's the direction she's heading. She wants to go to King's Landing to see all of the sons that she abandoned.
Those ones? Wait, there's two. Oh, no, there's three.
She's probably saying a prayer to the old gods and the new for the three sons she's left behind.
Yeah, well, she's thinking about possibly, when she's thinking, she knows she can't really do it because she's only got Ser Rodrik with her, but she's thinking if I could get to Lysa in the Eyrie, she might have more information to help Ned in his cause.
Right, yeah, because... Yes.
Because she's the one that... She figures there's got to be more information that she has than what she put in her.
Yes, he can only question the 4 members of the household who were left behind.
Right.
And the rest of them are all in the Eyrie. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but ultimately she decides, I got to keep going north. And she thinks, if I can just get past the neck, she can reveal herself as Cat Stark and... Yeah. Then she'll have
get a bit of a
retinue.
Entourage, yes. Did you say retinue?
I did.
Nicely done. So she ruminates about some of the castles and houses of the Riverlands that her father could call on. The Brackens, the Blackwoods, the Freys, and of course Lady Went of Harrenhal. Yeah, nice. But would that be enough in war? There are also the Darries, the Rygers, the Moontons.
I think it's Mootons.
Yeah,
I think an N slipped in there.
The Mootons. They all fought, as I said, on the Targaryen side in Robert's rebellion. And
Yes.
so he is frail. If King Robert and the Lannisters both descended,
Yeah, that would be bad.
I mean, you've got to think,
Especially if he's caught unprepared.
yeah, if they came from the west and the south simultaneously, and if I was the Darrys, I would probably go, we're going to lose this.
Right.
And that king doesn't like me from last time. I didn't fight for him.
That's a good point.
Let me get it right this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he would be breaking his vow to
Hoster
Tully for the second time, which might not put you. I mean, even Robert might be like, "Oh, you don't seem." I gave Jamie one chance.
Then we learned about Lord Walder Frey.
Yeah.
That you were saying about coming after the joining the side that was winning the war.
Yes.
And so Walder Frey and all of his knights came to the battle on the Trident after it was decided, and it left people wondering which side were they going to join. And he, of course, said, "I was going to join your side."
Why would you think any other way?
You're my liege lord. Of course I was going to join you. And that's when, ever since then, Hoster Tully has referred to him as the late Lord Frey.
He's old, Frey, right? He said 90.
Yeah.
He's played by the same. He played by a guy who in the show. He's played by a guy from Harry Potter.
Oh yeah. What's his name? The one with the cat.
Yes, the guy with the cat from Harry Potter.
I cannot think of his name.
We shouldn't really mix our books, clearly, but
the janitor.
The janitor guy. Yeah.
For the life of me, I can't think. Mrs. Norris, I think, is the name of
the
the cat.
Yeah, you got the cat now. What's the cat been in? So yes,
Garfield.
She says, on reflection of the state of the Riverlands, she's like, this must not come to war.
Right.
We got to avoid war at all costs.
Maybe not all costs, apparently.
Well, yes. The problem is she thought that, and then some time passed, and then she stopped thinking about that. Yeah. So they meet Marillion, which is the name of a band, an English band from back in the day. There was a band called Marillion.
Oh, cool.
Actually, when I was doing research for this, I looked them up the other night, and they're still going.
Jammed out to some tunes.
I didn't really,
okay.
But they were all right, Marillion. They knew what they were doing.
Okay.
They could play a tune. But their lead singer was called Fish.
That was the name?
That was his name. Fish.
His name was Fish.
And he's on Twitter now, and he's just an ordinary guy, and seems really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Marillion. Not just the name of a singer.
Headed for King's Landing for the Hands tournament.
Yes, that's what he's up to. He's headed south for King's Landing, to King's Landing for the Hands tourney. And he mentions that at the tourney for Joffrey's name day, which has come up a few times, this particular tourney.
That's the one that the Knight of Flowers won, right?
Yes, and that's
Dolores Tyrell, brother to the lady Marjorie Tyrell, who looks a bit like Lyanna Stark,
or at least that's
the
what
views of Renly Baratheon.
Not so much of Ned.
No.
But so he mentions...
Renly, who never met Lyanna.
Right. He thinks they're spitting image. So at that tourney, the one on Joff's name day, Marillion had made a ton of money, but then he bet it all on Jaime, who he refers to as the Kingslayer. And
sadly, not the Knight of Flowers Slayer.
Right.
Would have come in handy at this point.
There's a funny dialogue between Marillion and Rodrik at this point, where Ser Rodrik, who Cat thinks he's of the North and has not so high opinions of tourneys, he says, Rodrik says, "Well, I bet you learned a lesson there, didn't you?" And Marillion says, "Yeah. Next time I'm putting my money on Sir Loras." And he's like, "Perfect."
But yes, you said that Marillion wasn't the only one whose fortunes turned on that tilt.
Right, yes.
If we are to believe everything Peter Baelish tells us about the loss of that dagger to...
We'll be right back.
Hello, friends. Are you ready to make some unforgettable memories? Well, if so, consider the Marriott Bonvoy program. Discover the perfect destination for your summer getaway and unlock exclusive deals on luxurious accommodations. With our affiliate partnership, you'll enjoy unbeatable savings and a seamless booking experience. Don't let summer slip away. Visit Marriott Bonvoy today and make this vacation season one for the books. Use our Ghosts of Harrenhal affiliate page to check it all out and buy Bonvoy points or give some as a gift. The link to our page is in the show notes.
Tyrion.
He lost that dagger to Tyrion because Tyrion bet on Ser Loras Tyrell and Peter bet on Kingslayer, Jaime Lannister.
So Marillion tries to impress them with how familiar he is with the Tully family, which is also comical.
The young lord is like a brother, he says.
Yeah.
And,
But Catelyn has reason to know for a fact that the young lord does not like.
yes, because a girl that Edmure Tully liked was bedded by a singer. And ever since then, he's hated singers. So who hasn't been down that road?
Wow, but you know me. My wife dated a bunch of rock stars before she settled.
Found a true rock star.
I mean,
found the math star. That's what it was.
oh, God help her. So Tyrion and Yoren enter.
Yes, they do.
There's not enough room for them. Masha Heddle says, no, sorry, I really can't help.
Yeah, and then one flip of a coin changes that.
Yeah.
He pulls out a golden dragon and flips it in the air. I think he flips it twice before someone stands up and says, "You can have my room."
Yeah. This is like when they overbook a flight. You know, they're coming through with the $300. $300, don't everyone will give up their seat.
Yeah. She tries to stay in obscurity, and you can feel after that guy gives up his room, then Tyrion says, I'll have this to eat and that to eat, and she thinks, I hope you choke on it.
Yeah,
and then all she can envision is Bran choking on his own blood. And
So yeah, she was trying to not do this.
yeah, she was trying to hide.
Trying to hide and just let him go on his way.
And in fact, she says she's thankful that the room is so crowded because she's still trying to avoid detection.
Yeah.
Until Marillion jumps
So he's
up.
ruined Edmure. Well, some other singers ruined Edmure's life. And now Marillion's messing up Cat's life too.
Yep. So Marillion shouts out to Tyrion that he wants to sing to him about his father's victory in King's Landing. And he says, nothing is more sure to ruin my appetite, basically. But that draws his attention to the crowded other side of the room. And that's when he notices our cat.
Oh man, this is a sliding doors moment.
Mm-hmm. She even thinks, she's like, am I doing the right thing? I don't really have time to think it through.
Yeah.
I'm just going to react. So
She walks through the people sitting around the room.
yeah, like one by one, she goes through the brackens and the frays, and
She reveals who she is.
yes,
You won't fealty to my father.
yep.
And they all not quite sure what she's talking about, but they all agree. Yes,
Yes,
we all fealty
right.
to your family.
They're all kind of confused. They're like, yeah, he's a great guy.
And then once she says what she says, that Tyrion came to her house and tried to murder her son, they do what she says and takes him into custody.
I was thinking about this part, as I'm supposed to do, since we're
That is what we're highly not paid to do.
highly not paid. And she could, if she had still wanted to not go down this road, she could have just said she had been visiting her father in Riverrun, because he's bedridden. She took a trip for whatever reason. She could have said, I got a raven that he wasn't doing well. I took a trip down to Riverrun, and I'm on my way back. Sorry that I missed you too. But that's not how it went.
I have to say, I think you're putting too much stock in where she's coming from.
Like,
It doesn't matter where she's coming from. It's that she believes he did it.
yes.
That-
But I'm just thinking, she said this cannot come to war. And then when he first entered, she was trying to actively prevent from being detected. She did get detected. She could have still prevented what happens next. Could have prevented suspicion and could have prevented literally having him arrested.
Yeah. I wonder if it might have been interesting to maybe just get one of the sets of swords, a couple of guys, and then sit Tyrion down and confront him.
Yeah.
Rather than arrest him, confront him with it.
Yeah.
Because I think if I were her, if Tyrion told me the story of what had happened to Tyrion since she last saw him, I would be convinced that he was innocent.
Right. Yeah.
We are.
Right.
He went back to Winterfell, the scene of his supposed crimes,
Right.
with a design for a saddle to help Bran,
Yeah.
not with a knife.
Yeah, that is all
But he didn't
pretty
give.
sound.
She didn't give him a chance to
No,
explain.
she did
just
not. She
figuratively clapped him in irons.
yeah, she said, "Help me seize him and return him to Winterfell to face the king's justice." And the chapter ends with the sound of swords being pulled out of their scabbards. With she wonders which is more satisfying, the dozen swords or the look on Tyrion's face.
Or the thought of what's going to happen to Hoster Tully when the Lannisters and the King's men come.
Yeah, not to mention Ned's surrounded by Lannisters
of course.
in King's Landing, and he's got 20 less good swords than he did.
That's true. Presumably he could call them back at a pinch,
Right.
but yes, I take
I
your
guess
point.
so.
Yeah.
So what, if this goes through, what are the consequences? This could be like the major turning point in the
Yeah.
whole story.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this before, that everything that's happened to this point was either not big enough to cause major ruction, the killing of Lady.
Right.
I mean, yes, it's a major fissure between the two families, but it's not going to destroy the realm.
Right. Killing
Or-
a Micah, similar situation.
Yeah. Or it was sufficiently major, but not attributable.
Right.
Not clearly attributable to someone.
Bran's fall.
Bran's fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Arryn's death.
Yeah.
These are big enough to cause some major ruction, but we don't know who did it, so we can't.
Yeah.
We can't go to war. This is Catelyn Stark taking Tyrion Lannister into custody.
Yeah. And regardless of what Tywin Lannister thinks of Tyrion, a Lannister being taken prisoner by a Stark is big. It's big news.
And what's the kicker of it for us is, I mean, as pro Stark and anti Lannister, it's hard not to sort of like be on the Stark side.
Right.
But he's innocent. He didn't do this.
We feel fairly confident that it just doesn't fit. So.
He certainly didn't push him out. We know exactly who pushed him out.
Yes.
And nothing about his behavior suggests he sent the assassin. So.
No, and he's too smart to give that guy the only dagger in King's Landing that people know belongs to him.
Yeah. Which isn't necessarily true. I mean, Peter Baelish is the only person who knew that. Nobody else vouched for it.
That's true.
Peter Baelish's dagger for all we know. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so some background. So Harrenhal gets a mention, so let's have a quick chat about our spiritual home.
Right.
See what I did there?
Spiritual.
You like ghosts,
Yes.
you say? Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's almost like it's our old haunt.
Oh, it's better and better. It's better and better.
Oh, man, I had one for when Tyrion discovered cat. I was going to say, well, now the cat's out of the bag.
Oh, man, that's gold.
But I didn't want to
splice that back in.
I didn't want to write it down because I didn't want to ruin it for your surprise.
Now, throwing it at me while we're talking about Harrenhal is a big surprise.
See, I got it in. Anyway, tell us about Harrenhal.
So Harrenhal, it was and still is the largest castle in Westeros.
Yep.
It was built by Harren the Black of House Hoare. I feel the need to spell the word Hoare. It is Hoare. He believed it impregnable.
Well, was he wrong?
On the day he moved in, Aegon the Conqueror arrived and disabused him of this misconception,
Yes,
courtesy
he did.
of his dragons.
It's amazing how dragons can fly over
Walls, no matter how high.
Even the wall.
The wall, yeah. All the whores died. Stop laughing at the fact that his name was Whore.
Hoare.
Yes. It's now held by House Went, which is also hard to spell. It's Whendt.
Mm-hmm.
It remains imposing, but its melted walls, like used candles, speak to the power of dragons and the frailty of human life.
Right.
Many 3,000-year-old weirwood trees were cut down for rafters and beams in its construction.
Well, that's not very sustainable, is it?
It's not sustainable, and you've got to feel that you're slightly poking the old gods when you cut down the weirwoods to make your castle.
Yeah. That's
Weirwoods are sacred to the old religions. The children of the forest believe that the weirwoods are the gods.
Right.
They actually think those are the gods, not
Right,
just
right.
that they're manifestations. They're the gods.
Yeah.
Most weirwoods have faces carved into them, originally by the children of the forest. It is said that green seers can see through those eyes. I think we've mentioned this before.
Yep.
The trees have a sap, something like maple, that collects and runs down from the carved eyes, giving them a mournful sort of teary visage. The trees have large five-pointed red leaves, again I'm thinking like a maple, and smooth white bark. They don't die.
Yeah.
by themselves. They just keep getting older and older. So many live to be multi-thousand years old. This timelessness means that green seers can see both the past and the future.
Which I think
when
we
they
mentioned
look
before.
through the eyes
And
of
you
the
said only if it's directly in front of them.
But I did make that point. It's true. The removal of weirwood godswoods when the Faith of the Seven became the de facto established religion is one of the parallels with the spread of Christianity. So now this is on our world. Various pagan belief systems involved sacred groves of trees, and many of those fell to the axe when Christianity took root.
Okay.
I was reading a story of St. Benedictus, I think it was, who cut down a very famous tree in Germany. And there's many famous portraits of this scene. And he's there with a crucifix chopping down a tree, and all these sort of pagans are like, don't do that.
Ah.
We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Audible. To get a free audiobook, or 2 if you're an Amazon Prime member, go to our exclusive URL, audibletrial.com/ghostsharrenhal. You can find the link in our show notes. That reminds me of your trivia question about the saint that was stripped of his sainthood on a particular day.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Yes, St. Valentine, according to the Catholic Church, is no longer a saint.
And that was announced
On February the 14th.
on Valentine's Day. Enjoy your candy, bud.
Purely coincidental. At the time, well, let me just to digress onto that, the Pope at the time was stripping many old saints of their sainthood.
Yeah.
So somebody had to land on their day.
Right.
Happened to be St. Valentine. So many of those trees fell to the axe when Christianity took root. Celtic paganism featured the deification of the trees themselves in the same way that the children of the forest think of them.
Sure.
Usually they were considered female goddesses. Well, goddesses. I just threw female in for redundancy. In particular, oak trees that featured parasitic mistletoe were considered particularly... Have you ever noticed that mistletoe growing in oak trees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
mistletoe is a parasite that grows on trees, but they were considered particularly blessed.
Wow. Cool.
The word druid is thought to derive from the words oak men in Old Celtic or whatever, and the word sanctuary comes from the Latin word for grove.
Okay.
So a lot of sort of modern day religions sort of like stem from the tree, the arboreal times of the pagans.
I like that word.
The Andals brought the Faith of the Seven with them, and since they never conquered the north, the religion and the trees are far more, the religion of the old gods and the trees are far more prevalent north of the Neck and also north of the Wall.
Yes, definitely.
The one exception south of the Neck is on the Isle of Faces in the God's Eye Lake, which is, Harrenhal is on the shores of the God's Eye Lake, where the first men and the children of the forest made a truce. Every weirwood on that island has a carved face. Some maesters believe that children of the forest survive on the island to this day.
Huh. Good stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, partly this is for Ricky, who asked us to talk a little bit more about the religion.
Yeah.
So I was focusing on the old gods. We'll talk more about the Faith of the Seven when we get a chance.
Definitely. Okay. Well, this is a leaf too. Sour leaf. So
what a connection that was.
Yeah, well, you know, they don't all work as well. They don't all work as well as the cat's out of the bag.
Well, yeah, few could.
So, in Proprietus, Masha Hedl.
Oh, that is such a great name,
Yeah.
Masha Hedl. I actually pushed her through the internet anagram server, but actually, it's Masha Hedl is as good as it gets with those letters. There's no way to improve on that.
No, okay. Well, she chews sour leaf, and it's something like chewing tobacco. Basically, it causes a pink foam to rise in the mouth, and you have to spit that out. It stains the teeth blood red, giving its users a ghastly appearance. And it has some analgesic effects, which is basically pain-killing effects.
Do you want to do this bit? I was going to do this bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
We already knew about the Darries opposing Lord Tully and Robert's rebellion, fighting for the Targaryens. House Rhaegar of Willowwood, too, and House Mooton of Maidenpool. Historically, House Mooton is the wealthiest house in the Riverlands. No word on whether they were stripped of some of that wealth in the wake of their lack of loyalty to Lord Tully, but it would make sense to do so. That's the thing, you see. I mean, if you're forgiving those houses and letting them keep their lands or
Right.
whatever, you would strip them of something.
Yeah,
Because
usually they do.
You got to
yeah.
punish them. I know that the Lannisters basically kill them and their children and their children's children
Right.
and their servants
Every-
and their pets.
Yeah. But a lot of the houses had a lot of their lands taken and stuff like that given to other houses that were faithful to Robert's rebellion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a house called Griffin's Roost where the Conningtons are from.
Oh, yeah.
They lost a lot of their
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, and particularly, I mean, it's a difficult line to tread, of course, for Tully, because you want to punish them because
Yep.
you don't want them to get away with it, but at the same time, you don't want to make them so, you don't want to be so harsh on them that they never forgive you
Right.
and
yeah,
bear
yeah.
the grudge forevermore.
Yeah, they have
You
to
can't
realize
wait
they're going to be punished.
Yeah.
But they're spared their lives.
Because a lot of that is done through fostering. I mean, a lot of that is, basically they would take a child of the Mootons and the Rygers and the Darrys and stick them somewhere like Winterfell
Yeah.
and say,
Try and bridge the gap for the next generation.
well, A, that, and B, you better toe the line from here on out if you want to ever see them again.
Yeah, that's what's going on with Theon Greyjoy, basically.
That's interesting, actually, that isn't the case. I would have, thinking this through, I would think that maybe at the Eyrie as well with Jon Arryn, that would be another place where you've got definite family connections.
Yeah. I was just thinking, you mentioned that the Mootons were the wealthiest house in Riverlands. I assume that's aside the Tullys.
No, I think including the Tullys.
Really?
I believe so. I think they're the wealthiest. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that can happen. There's another region, isn't there, where someone's wealthier? No, the Tyrells. Yes, the Tyrells. Someone's wealthier than the Tyrells.
Well, yeah.
Oh no, second
The
wealthiest.
Lannisters are the wealthier, but they're in different.
Yeah.
regions.
No, but I thought there was a wealthier family than the Tyrells in the Reach, but that's not true. They are the wealthiest. Yeah, I think it's just maybe their lands, because they're a port, main pools of port. I think they just get a lot of taxes and things through there. So that's what I read.
Right.
My sources are not necessarily canonical. So to compare with the television show, Ser Rodrik and Cat do not consider sleeping rough in the TV show. They are headed to the inn and they intend to stay there. Everything that happens in the inn is closely captured. One slight deviation, Tyrion offers the bribe to anyone willing to give up his room. It's taken by a character who actually is going to appear in both TV and book, whose name is Bran. And when Bran says, "You can have my room," and takes the coin, Tyrion says, "Clever fellow." And in the book, it was just an unnamed traveller.
Okay.
So they're just a minor difference.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I wondered if they referred to him as a free rider in the book.
it could be Bran.
But Bran is a sellsword. Remember, I did the difference between a free
you
rider and a sellsword.
did.
So they would have to. I mean, by they, I mean Martin would have to change how he's referred to, because he's referred to as a sellsword a lot.
Yeah.
So
Well, so
that's why
it wasn't
Bran.
Bran.
I thought it wasn't Bran
wasn't
because they referred to him as a free rider.
So not Bran in the book, definitely Bran in the TV show. So Pedro Tricona, really, there's not much here because not an awful lot happens, but it is terribly rash of Cat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she has the upper hand in the immediate, but her family are awfully vulnerable in so many places.
Yeah, they are.
To reprisals.
Yeah. I get it. She sees him, he's flipping around gold and, getting his way.
Being
and it's
Tyrion.
Yes, boiling her blood because she believes he tried to kill her. I almost said youngest son. Poor baby Rickon.
If Bran had died, you'd need another son to replace him. Who's that? Wait, oh no. I got one.
So, I get it. She's angry. She wants to rip that guy's head off, but man,
Yeah.
that can be trouble.
Yeah, I mean, she's crossed the Lannisters for real now, and the Lannisters, when they're not really crossed, will put your pets to death.
Push your kids out windows.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not like the evidence is ironclad. I mean, both of us think the evidence is completely wrong, in fact.
Right, yes.
It may have been his knife. If it was his knife, someone else took it and gave it to the assassin.
Right.
It may not have been his knife. Peter Baelish may just be stirring the pot.
Yeah, there you go. So news and notes, a little bit longer on the episode bonanza.
Not much.
No, it's...
We got to get back to our families at some point.
We got to get out of this room.
Yeah. We're putting down roots.
We're going to be werewood trees before we know it.
We're just carved faces at home. With tears rolling down our eyes. It's fun, though. I'm still enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. It's
just a lot.
A lot goes into...
I know it's a lot for you. I'm grateful for all you do.
I'm having fun. So, conclusion, now the game begins.
Yeah, for real. I mean, now swords will be drawn.
Yes.
And lines will be drawn.
This whole chapter escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Went from just a kind of humdrum, mundane, they're just traveling, to, oh my, she might have just started a war.
Yeah. The only thing is that communications are slow.
Right.
So there's no reason necessarily that this gets to King's Landing. Well, at least 16 days before this gets to King's Landing.
Yeah.
In that time, she might reconsider.
Right. Yes.
Who
and
knows?
a
lot could happen.
One thing we know about Tyrion, he's a persuasive talker.
Right, exactly.
He might be able to
convince her that he's got nothing to do with this.
We'll have to see
and
how
then
that plays out.
Send a raven to King's Landing to beat the crowd, because obviously some people are going to leave the inn and go tell everyone they can. Beat the crowd to King's Landing to say, hey, no, I'm fine, she's let me go.
It was a mistake.
Yeah.
It was a misunderstanding.
She thought I was Jaime Lannister.
We look so much alike, Anyway, anything else?
No.
Okay.
As always, you can reach us at ghost.harrenhall@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at ghostharrenhall. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We're not on TikTok.
We're not. And it's not TikTok.
And it's not TikTok. But...
And, we do this at the end of episode. We really ask if you could leave a review and rate us on especially iTunes. But it really does help us out a lot. And if you like what we're doing, helping us out would be cool.
Thanks.
Really appreciate that. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.